Thank you for staying with Crossfire. We have Mheshimiwa Amos Kimunya Kipipiri, Member of Parliament, and Pamela Odhiambo Migori, Woman Rep, who's just been able to join us after going through a little bit of traffic on Thika Road. All the same, we are glad she's here now. So we are talking about what has happened in the country the last 1 week. But before we do that, could we speak to Samson? I understand who's online. Samson, good evening.
Okay, good evening too.
Go on.
Okay, so mi nilikuwa nataka kusema hivi. Chebukati mwenyewe alijuzi alituambia election ikifanywa date 26 of October haitakuwa credible, which means election sasa ikifanywa haitakuwa credible. Na tuliona Akombe pia akisema alikuwa amereveal zile secrets zenye ziko huko ndani. So according to me, election ikifanywa date itakuwa poa. So nilikuwa na suggest kama wanaweza postpone.
Kwa hivyo wewe kwa maoni yako unaona wasongeshe mbele kidogo?
Naona ingesongezwa kidogo kama as in 3 months.
Haya Samson, nashukuru tumekusikia.
Okay, karibu.
All right, Mheshimiwa. Yes. Now that you're the new face this evening, what are your thoughts about what's happening in the country? You have Wafula Chebukati saying they're not ready for an election. He's not able to guarantee a free, fair, credible election. You have a commissioner resigning and basically saying this is a chairman under siege. And I was just speaking to Mheshimiwa Kimunya here, and he says they are still going to, I mean, these elections still have to go on because Chebukati has not given specifics of what exactly the problem is within the IEBC that can stop him from giving a free, fair, credible election.
Thank you very much. No, time is very short, but allow me to begin by thanking God. A few days ago, I was on a deathbed and I was admitted in hospital. I've not been in action for quite some time now. And so I know many will be surprised to see me here, but the call of duty sometimes makes you wake up and just come, especially when I heard that my chairman, Mr. Mbadi, is also sick and unable to come. Yeah. I had to step in for him. I don't know whether I would be able to fit in his shoes. And secondly, allow me to congratulate my NASA colleagues. They have been going on and talking to the people of Kenya, telling them the right perspective of what is happening in our country. Now, I think today, what we are discussing here is very interesting. I don't understand. Imagine, Linda, today, if we took off, the captain of the plane says there is a problem, we are not going to sail, we are not going to land, and somebody insists, let the plane go. What are we going to? A crash. And so I think, with all the due respect for my leaders and a man whom I respect so much, you know, those days when he was minister holding the old finance, I used to admire. I was like, could I think? Even now. Yes, I do. But I don't think it is right to move on the way we are. Because when we are hearing Akombe saying what he's saying, before Akombe, we had the court looking at the whole scenario and talked of irregularities and illegalities. So even as we sit here today, I don't think it is right for Honorable Kimunya to tell us that Chebukati has not specifically told us what's wrong. What is wrong is that there are irregularities and illegalities which have not been corrected to the satisfaction of the Kenyan community. And therefore, when Akombe comes in and says, Yenyewe, Kenya, this cannot just be, Chebukati himself wakes up and says, surely it is not right. Now, why should we ignore this? And I'm basing my argument on the fact that the Kenyan constitution that is ruling us today, which every one of us knows, takes care even of the minorities, that the minority voice must be heard. So even if we had 10 commissioners, and one of them is saying, no, let us stop here and look at this place. Honestly speaking, we need to listen. We ought to listen.
Mheshimiwa, you have 3 days to go before this repeat election. And of course, IEBC, clearly, the ballot papers got here already in the country. Some are getting in tomorrow. Which way forward? Because you have 3 days.
Yes. The way forward is simple. When there is a tooth that is aching it has to be pulled out, or
painfully.
Or yes, however painful it is, or it has to be failed. Now listen to me again. Why I came here this evening is not really even to argue as a politician or as a NASA side or a Jubilee side. I respect all our leaders. In any case, Uhuru Kenyatta has ruled us for the last 5 years. But at this point, why I came here is, the way forward is, all these rules and regulations and laws that we are now feeling like we are so caged that we must do it this way because now we don't have time. I want to declare we have time. Those 3 days are not going to be the end of Kenya. If there is something that is going to make Kenyans go astray, then we better stop it and give ourselves time.
All right,
Number
and
two,
hold on. I'm coming back to you. It would be interesting as well to also listen to what NASA leader Raila Odinga had to say when he met IBC Chair Wafula Chebukati in the last week. Remember, one of the demands that suggestions that Chebukati had was for him to meet both President Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga and other presidential candidates. He managed to meet Raila this past week. Could you listen in a little bit to what he had to say?
That if proper consultations are done and proper reforms are carried out and those fears that we raised are addressed, which made us pull out of this race, then we will consider. But as things stand right now, our position is as we announced it yesterday. Please.
Sisi kuna sharti moja tumepatia IBC. Sisi tulisema IBC fanyeni kazi yenu. Mumewahi kusikia mimi ama William tukitaja mambo ya IBC? Sisi tumesema kura ni ya mwananchi, sisi tunarudi kwa wananchi. IBC, wewe unelipwa na pesa ya serikali na ya wananchi. Tumekupatia na imetengwa 12 billion ya kufanya uchaguzi. Wewe kazi yako sio kuingilia sisi wanasiasa. Wewe panga uchaguzi. Si ni namna hiyo? IBC ipange nini? Sisi tuende tuka campaign kwa wananchi wetu, tuombe kura, wananchi waamue. Kusema ya kwamba lazima tuongee na huyu, mimi na sina shida na IBC mimi. Naenda kuongea nini? Me have no problem. I am ready for the 26th to cast my ballot.
All right, so that is what?
That IBC is calling for meetings with the candidates. But if you recall, you may recall that IBC has already met Jubilee. We met with the DP. They met with Rafael Tuju.
Are you referring to the meetings at Bomas?
Yes. So now President Uhuru as a candidate has not raised any issue. He's busy campaigning, looking for votes, right? So why do you want him to meet with IBC?
Despite the fact that...
What are they going to discuss?
Despite the fact that this is a meeting that has specifically been requested for by Chebukati.
Yes, but Chebukati
you can't preempt what he wants to discuss.
He could as well call the agent. You see, you can meet the candidate or the agent.
No,
right?
No.
I mean, the issue is here. We don't want a situation where Kenyans have a constitution. We don't have to envisage a situation where people are contemplating that for once, we remove that constitution, put it aside, okay, and start using unconstitutional means to save Kenya.
And you think that's what NASA is doing?
Because that's what NASA is doing.
No.
That is what all this, when we are told by the courts that you must do an election within 60 days, and it is in the constitution, right? Doing anything else is actually a subversion, right?
But that same court, I appreciate what you are saying, but first let me disagree. I think all the candidates as players in the field, to be honest, they should have no right when the referee calls and say, I want to meet you, I want to meet you. I used to play as a young girl. And most of the time, the referee would call the players together. Now, I don't think it is right for President Uhuru Kenyatta to say that he has no business. It would have been fairer. He goes and listens. And if it's something that is not ready to accept, and he says, no, I'm not going that direction. But just saying that I have no business with IBC, I cannot be called to a meeting, that is wrong.
But Pamela, IBC is independent.
Let me just finish. Yeah. IBC is independent, but you see, they are holding the election on our behalf. That is why we are players.
Yes.
So they are not holding their own elections. They are all holding elections on behalf of these two players, the NASA and the Jubilee, presidential candidate. And then, no, don't cut me short. I don't like it that way, because when let us just keep quiet.
Go on.
What we are saying is, when we lock room for dialogue, whether for bad or for worse, I think we are neglecting the fact that we are still talking about a nation which, whatever it may cost, must still be contained together.
Yes.
So what we are saying, Jubilee, NASA is not really acting out of the law. So you can't tell us that NASA wants the law to be put aside and then we use unlawful means to save Kenya. When this whole thing started, NASA saw there was a problem. And they went to court. They ran to the law.
We persuaded them to go to
court. No.
We actually persuaded.
No. I am part of NASA.
Raila had refused to go to court.
I am part of NASA. Yeah. I know how our decision to come to court started and ended. So it is not you. The persuasion was not you. In fact, what Jubilee was saying by that time was a mockery. If you think you are aggrieved, go to court. That is not persuasion. Yeah. That is like laughing at somebody. So now what I'm saying is, when we forget that we have a nation, it is very irrational. Number two, NASA is not pushing everything out of the law. NASA has been working with the law. Okay. And what NASA has been saying, even the genesis of those reforms, that the irreducible minimum that NASA was requesting for, all of them were only derived from the same judgment, which also said we have to go on the ballot again in 60 days. Okay. So choosing selectively to go for the mandatory 6 days and forgetting the irregularities and the illegalities, I think that is being partial. Okay. So what we are saying is, we should have gone within those 60 days. When these reforms or these irregularities and whatever was irregular has been thoroughly dealt with to the satisfaction of the entire nation, including those who are coming in the future.
Okay.
But I think, just going back to this issue of meetings, if I recall, Chebukati's closing remarks during that statement he made, it was like, I don't want interference by you candidates. Leave IBC alone to deliver. He said something to that effect.
Yes.
And that's what exactly Uhuru has been doing. Leaving him alone to deliver so that he doesn't blame that because we met and I was influenced to do ABCD. Now, we talk of these irregularities and illegalities and all that. The same court did not find anyone culpable. They repeated that during the summary judgment and in the details, right? But we now go, NASA then goes and gets a list of people from obviously the moles within, the so-called moles within IBC, that we want the following people removed, right? Now, who is managing IBC? Is it Chebukati or NASA, right? We must maintain the independence of IBC, right? Now, so when Chebukati comes and says, I'm getting frustrated because I cannot sack some of the people I need to sack, it's only probably the other commissioners telling him we are independent. We are not listening to NASA to start sacking people without due process.
So I think it's Chebukati who's not independent.
So he needs to be independent, okay? And that's why I think even when we go back to Parliament, we will revisit that issue of lawyers. Because for once now I'm seeing that this is a system thing.
Yeah. Allow me to say
we need to get somebody in IBC who is not just playing politics, right?
Okay. Just hold on there, right there.
Yeah. Okay.
I like making things simpler.
Yeah.
Honorable, with all the due respect. Today, you go to your house and you look at the things and you find everything in a mess and you say there is a mess. Then your wife, your workers, your children, everybody, you know, what would you say? Somebody in that house must take responsibility. What we are saying here is, and I've repeated it and I don't mind repeating it, IBC is an institution. people have been charged with responsibility to execute and carry out duties in the name of IEBC. So there is no way. I know in this law, Honorable, you've been there longer than me.
Yes.
There is what we call the letter of the law, the spirit of the law. And in between there is also common sense. When these irregularities were found and illegalities were found, somebody somewhere, if I was a Catholic, I would talk of a sin of commission or omission.
Yes.
So somebody must have committed something, or somebody must have neglected or omitted something that landed at us where we are.
Yes.
And that is somebody, at that point, it was now the duty of IBC to sit. And Chebukati calls his team. Remember, in this whole exercise, there was a chief executive who was like the commander of the forces that were executing things on the ground, to the level that the results were to be brought for Chebukati to announce, this is what we have done. So you can't tell us this idea of Jubilee telling us that no one was found culpable. To me, it is like saying, after all, the judges did a lot of nothing.
Okay, listen.
No, which I don't agree with.
Let me just bring a quick one. Now, because you mentioned about Kombe going, and just as well as she went. Remember, she's the same one who actually gave Chebukati the Form 34C. Yeah? She's the one who actually gave him to sign. And she knew it was the wrong one. Right?
What do you mean
she must have known.
Right? Okay, listen,
so,
listen.
Thank God she's gone.
She didn't tell you she knew it was the wrong one.
We can now see
she's not even here to defend herself.
She's not here to defend herself. And we don't even want to defend. I don't have any respect for people who go bad-mouthing their country just because they have dual citizenships. Yeah? Right? And they come here
okay, listen. I want us to listen to what Deputy President William Ruto had to say about the whole concerns that have been raised by NASA. And as we speak, remember, we have 3 days to the repeat election. Let's listen in.
We will not succumb, so to speak, to their attempt to delegitimize 26th. Not because they have any issue, but because they know they cannot win. You know, that's really the bottom.
Yeah. So NASA is doing this because they know they cannot win. No. So you have 3 days on election, Mheshimiwa. And there are section of NASA leaders who've maintained there will be no election on the 26th, 3 days away. Mheshimiwa, way forward. You have 3 days. NASA is saying there will be no election. Jubilee says there will be an election. Ballot papers are already are already in the country.
At that point, I want to tell you the second and the most important reason why I came here.
Okay.
I came to tell the nation of Kenya, when people get obsessed with power, they behave weirdly. And this was seen during the days of Daniel. I want to charge the nation. Read Daniel 2, 19 to 28, and then Daniel 5, 25 to 27. I would like to pick the latter one. It says something like this, Mene mene tekel parsim. This is the writing that is on the wall of Kenya, and the wise men, the magicians, have failed to read it and interpret it. And so, when we are asking 3 days to go, I think in this same station, about 2 days after all this, somebody was asking, is it possible to meet? Because the judgment was done on the 1st. On the 2nd, NASA was ready with this list of what they called minimum reforms that should be done. And then the Jubilee side started breathing fire. There was no time, there was no time. Until there was no time, until we are out now 3 days away. Okay. And that's why NASA said, honestly speaking, with all these ills still in the system, intact the way they were, there is no need. And so there will be no election. So Jubilee can actually hold a nomination of their presidential candidate.
No, we will have an election.
No.
And the election will be, you might, I'll be very surprised. You might even find some 10 million Kenyans actually coming out to vote. right?
Okay.
Which is real, the thing we are hoping for, and we're doing our campaigns to make sure we have a majority of Kenyans coming out to vote, to just show that Kenyans are law-abiding, right? They respect their constitution and are prepared to defend it, okay? And Kenyans are also tired, and they want to make sure they get a president who can then, you know, unlock the impasse that's there within the country. Now, like I said before, it's a personal choice. Those who don't want to, who don't believe in it, because we are already saying the referee is bad even before the game has started, right?
Okay.
We are throwing stones at the referee, and the more time we have, the more injured he'll be.
But the referee himself has said
that's exactly why, because we are injuring him so much he's getting
okay, listen, I need to wrap this up. I absolutely need to wrap this up.
We are not even getting the referee.
Linda, just listen to
me. I have to wrap this up.
Yes, you have to wrap this up.
30 seconds.
But 30 seconds. Let me tell you. Kenyans are not tired. Kenyans are tired of corruption, forcefulness, and all those kind of things. They are not tired of waiting for the right thing to be done so that we have a proper election in Kenya that will bring peace to even the insects that are walking.
All right, I need to go.
On the land.
Emos Kibunya, KPP Member of Parliament, Pamela Diambo Migori, Women Rep. People, thank you so much for your time. Clearly, this time is not enough, but thank you all the same.
Yeah.
And for watching Crossfire, you should be having Yvonne Okwaramatola in under 8 minutes with checkpoints. Have a good night.